You wake up, check your phone, and the first thing you see is a notification from your bank. Your salary just dropped. Relief, but it's short-lived, because you already know what's coming next. Bills, rent, groceries, maybe a loan payment, and by the end of the week, that paycheck feels like it never existed. You're back to zero, back to waiting, back to surviving. That's the hamster wheel. You run faster, work harder, but you never move forward. You chase promotions, side gigs, overtime, but the finish line keeps shifting. And the worst part? You start to believe this is normal, that this is just how adult life works, that stress, scarcity, and exhaustion are part of the deal. But it's not just about money, it's about emotion. Emotional spending becomes your escape. You're tired, so you order food. You're stressed, so you buy something online. You're bored, so you scroll and spend. And for a moment, it feels good, like you're in control, like you're rewarding yourself. But then the guilt creeps in, the regret, the realization that you're spending money you don't really have on things you don't really need. And this cycle isn't random, it's designed. The system wants you emotionally reactive because emotional people spend more. They don't budget, they don't invest, they don't pause to ask, is this helping me build something? They just consume, and consumption keeps the wheel spinning. Now think about how most people earn. They trade time for money, 1 hour, 1 paycheck, 1 shift, 1 deposit. But what happens when you get sick? When you burn out? When the job disappears? The income stops, and suddenly, your entire life feels fragile. That's the danger of paycheck dependency. It gives you just enough to survive, but never enough to escape. And here's the emotional hook. You start to feel like your time isn't yours, like your life is rented. You work all week just to afford the weekend. You sacrifice your energy, your creativity, your peace, just to keep the lights on. And deep down, you know something's wrong. You know this isn't freedom, but you don't know what the alternative looks like. That's where ownership comes in. Not just owning things, but owning your time, your income, your decisions. Ownership is the shift that changes everything. It's the moment you stop chasing money and start building systems that earn while you sleep. It's the moment you stop reacting and start designing. And once you taste it, even just a little, you'll never go back. Ownership doesn't begin with a bank account. It begins with a shift in how you see yourself. It's the moment you stop thinking like a consumer and start thinking like a creator. You stop asking, how can I earn more this month? And start asking, what can I build that earns even when I'm not working? That shift, from chasing to building, is the beginning of everything. Most people live in a loop. They wake up, go to work, get paid, and spend. Then they repeat. There's no leverage, no growth, no breathing room, just a constant cycle of effort and exhaustion. And the worst part is, they think this is normal. They think this is what life is supposed to be. But deep down, there's a quiet discomfort, a feeling that something's missing, that they were meant for more than just surviving. When you begin to own something, whether it's a skill, a product, a platform, or even just your time, you start to feel that shift. You're no longer reacting to life, you're designing it. You're no longer spending just to feel in control. You're building systems that give you control. And that changes everything. Ownership gives you space, emotional space, mental space, financial space. You stop making decisions out of fear and start making them out of clarity. You stop chasing short-term relief and start investing in long-term freedom. You stop asking for permission and start creating your own path. It's not about quitting your job tomorrow or becoming a millionaire overnight. It's about planting seeds, learning something valuable, creating something useful, building something that doesn't disappear when you stop working. Maybe it's a digital product, maybe it's a service, maybe it's a channel, a brand, a business. Whatever it is, it becomes a reflection of your time, your energy, your vision, and it grows. The more you build, the less you depend. The less you depend, the more you breathe. And the more you breathe, the more you realize how much of your life was spent in survival mode. Ownership breaks that. It gives you leverage. It gives you options. It gives you power. And yes, it's hard. It takes time. It takes patience. It takes unlearning everything you were taught about money and success. But once you start, even with something small, you'll feel it. You'll feel the shift. You'll feel the difference between renting your life and owning it. Because ownership isn't just financial. It's emotional. It's psychological. It's the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you're building something real, something that lasts, something that's yours. The shift to ownership doesn't just change your finances, it rewires your entire relationship with time. You begin to realize that time isn't something you trade for money, it's something you invest to build freedom. And once that realization hits, everything else starts to fall into place. You stop measuring your worth by how busy you are. You stop chasing productivity for the sake of survival. Instead, you start asking better questions. What am I building? What will still exist tomorrow if I stop working today? What am I creating that gives me leverage, not just income? Ownership teaches you patience. In the paycheck world, everything is urgent. You work, you get paid, you spend, you repeat. There's no room to breathe. But when you start building something, whether it's a business, a brand, a product, or even a reputation, you begin to understand the power of compounding. You do the work once, and it keeps giving back. Not immediately, not dramatically, but steadily, quietly, and eventually, powerfully. You also start to see how emotional spending loses its grip on you. When you're building something meaningful, you don't need to escape your life with impulse purchases. You're not buying things to feel alive. You're already living with purpose. You're not trying to fill a void. You're filling your days with intention. And that changes your emotional landscape. You become calmer, more focused, less reactive. Ownership also forces you to confront your fears. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of not being good enough. But instead of running from those fears, you start using them. You turn them into fuel. You realize that the only way out of the hamster wheel is through the discomfort of growth. And that discomfort, while painful, is temporary. The freedom it leads to is permanent. And then something beautiful happens. You stop seeing money as the goal. You start seeing it as a tool to buy time, to buy peace, to buy choices. You stop chasing more and start building better. You stop asking, how can I earn more? And start asking, how can I live better? Ownership isn't a destination, it's a way of life. It's the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you're not dependent on anyone else to survive. It's the peace that comes from knowing your time is yours. Your energy is yours. Your future is yours. And once you taste that, once you feel what it's like to wake up and know you're building something that matters, you'll never go back. You'll never settle for survival again, because you'll know what it means to truly own your life. Ownership doesn't arrive with a dramatic announcement. It begins quietly, in the background of your life, when you start making different choices. You begin to reclaim your time, not all at once, but piece by piece. Maybe it's an hour in the morning before the world wakes up. Maybe it's a weekend where you say no to distractions and yes to building. That time becomes sacred. It's no longer something you trade for survival. It's something you invest in your future. You don't need a perfect plan. You need a starting point. Something small, something real. Maybe you learn a skill that others need. Maybe you create something once that keeps giving back. Maybe you build a system that earns while you sleep. It doesn't matter how polished it is. What matters is that it's yours, that it reflects your vision, that it grows beyond your effort. And as you build, something shifts. You stop waiting for permission. You stop hoping someone else will fix your life. You stop chasing approval. You realize you're the builder. You're the architect. You're the one who decides what your future looks like. That realization is powerful. It's not loud, but it's permanent. You'll face resistance from others, from yourself. Doubt will creep in. Fear will whisper. You'll question whether you're good enough, smart enough, capable enough, but you'll keep building because you've tasted what it feels like to own something, to wake up and know your time is yours, to earn without begging, to live without fear. And slowly, the hamster wheel fades. The urgency disappears. The emotional spending loses its grip. You're no longer reacting to life. You're designing it. You're no longer surviving. You're thriving. You're no longer asking, how do I make it through the month? You're asking, what can I build that lasts beyond this month? Ownership isn't just about money. It's about peace. It's about power. It's about knowing that your life is no longer rented. It's yours, fully, completely, authentically. You stop measuring success by how much you earn and start measuring it by how much freedom you feel. You stop chasing more and start building better. You stop living for the weekend and start living for the vision. And once you reach that place, even for a moment, you'll never go back. because you'll know what freedom feels like. You'll know what it means to wake up without panic, to spend without guilt, to work with purpose, to live with clarity. Ownership is the shift that changes everything. It's not a finish line, it's a way of life, and once you choose it, everything else begins to align.